you want me just to start it?
No, I'll go ahead and do the intro.
Okay.
Good evening, and welcome to our Tuesday, November 9th meeting of the Board of Supervisors Workshop. My name is Sam Miller. I'm Assistant Township Manager and Finance Director, and glad to have you here this evening. And for those of you in attendance at home this evening, thank you for being here. Wanted to go through a quick update on our agenda for this evening so you can follow along with us. After opening pledge and comments, we will go into our old business, which we have a Wind Chase update for Wind Chase 3 development plan and submissions by Triple Crown Corporation. We will have an action to award a contract to Krillon Corporation for the Red Top Road Bridge project. That's a joint project with PennDOT. Under new business, we have action to approve an agreement with the Pennsylvania State University on behalf of Penn State Extension, Dauphin County, for the Centennial Acres Master Watershed Project, which will involve planting and maintaining native shrubs in the Centennial Acres Park in the township confines. And then finally, we will have, under subdivision and land development, we have one improvement guarantee, the establishment for 6517 Plowman Ridge Drive for a stormwater management plan. So at this point, I'll turn the meeting over to Chairman Lohman.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it. Call this workshop meeting of the Board of Supervisors to order. If everyone would please rise. Supervisor Navarro will lead us in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now is the time set aside for public comment. Before we have public comment, the board did meet in executive session prior to this meeting and will do so again following. Public comment is a time set aside for any items not on the agenda this evening. If you wish to speak to an agenda item, we'll have public comment at that time. Would anybody like to address the board? You are a public this evening. Okay. Seeing nobody wishing to address the board under public comment, we will move to chairman and board member comments. The chairman has no comments. Board members, any comments this evening?
I just have one. Lower Paxton Township has a TNR program, which is a trap, neuter, and release program. And tomorrow evening, and I'm not too sure, Mr. Miller, if it's in this room or the multi-purpose room.
I'm not certain.
Okay. It'll either be in this room or multi-purpose room. At 6:30, there will be a TNR training here if anybody is interested.
Anybody else? Okay, at this point, would the Assistant Township Manager have anything to add under the manager's report?
I do not. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Appreciate it. Old business. We're going to move now to have a discussion about Wind Chase 3. We've had numerous meetings discussing this, and those meetings have resulted in public input on some suggestions for potential changes. And Mr. DeSanto is here this evening. And Mark, if you would come up to the podium. And I know you've done a significant amount of work tracking down the various suggestions and wish to report back to us on what you found.
Thank you. Mark DeSanto with Triple Crown Corporation. Does everybody have a copy of the packet, or should I hand that out?
We have it.
We have
Thank
it.
you.
I just wanted to make sure. I thought you did, but
Thank you.
so we as a group, our staff has done quite a bit of investigation and review and trying to address, comments from when we met with the board in, August and 2 times in September, and comments from the public. We were asked to consider access through Wind Chase 2, asked to consider speaking to McNaughton Homes, access through their property, and looking at any other alternatives, which we have. We started this plan process back in 2018 when we met with staff and talked about how we were going to access and kind of were on board, everybody was on board with where we were going to be accessing the property, and then we had a lot of public input that was not supportive of that. So again, as requested, we've analyzed a lot of alternatives, and I've in the letter that we submitted to you, we've addressed a lot of points. So there's a cul-de-sac limitation under Section 503F that prohibits cul-de-sacs in excess of 600 feet. If we came through Windchase 2, we'd have a cul-de-sac of 1,000 feet, and then we would be required to make a second connection, which would bring us out onto Colorado anyway. So unless there was, waivers or something, that's not a possibility. So given the concerns of having through traffic, then, if we did make the connection coming up that way, you could potentially be bringing additional traffic through. So I don't think that's a positive aspect. Steep slope ordinance, section 310BF, B through F states that steep slopes in excess of 15% should not be graded on, and driveway access to principal buildings in excess of 10% should not be permitted. If we came up that way, we would either have to have access, main driveway access in excess of 10%, or we'd have to have significant fills over the sewer line, which the sewer authority would not permit because it would make the sewer too deep. In addition, we'd be creating a significant impact on what we are leaving left as a natural area. The third item is to cross that through Windchase 2, we would have to do a stream crossing, and that would require a general permit, and we provided in the DEP General Permit 7, item 13.x states that crossing of wetlands shall be avoided if an alternative location is provided or possible. It says possible, not provided. So we do have the access to Colorado. You got to check the box on the DEP permit, and our consultants believe it's not reasonable to expect that we would have an alternative access across the stream and wetlands when we have access to a public street already. In addition, if we came up over that hill, we would have additional impervious coverage of approximately 9,600 square feet, which is approximately a quarter acre. We would have to do additional stormwater improvements to deal with the runoff. The residents have talked about the runoff as an issue they're dealing with now, an existing condition they're dealing with now. And this could possibly, although we would have to control it, it could possibly exacerbate that issue. Coming through Windchase 2, I already mentioned this, to try to avoid the steep grades, we would have to do a significant fill over the sewer line of approximately 12 feet. And I know the sewer authority, if that sewer is sitting down, 8 or 9 feet, they're not going to let a 12-foot fill go over it, so you have a 21-foot excavation for repair of an existing line. In a previous meeting in June of this past year, one of the residents asked if we would do a traffic study. A traffic study was not required, and we at least did a traffic letter support. And in that report dated July 12th, it showed we would only have an 11 vehicle AM peak addition, a 15 vehicle PM addition to the existing traffic load in Colorado. It stated that the Colorado Avenue roads meet the PennDOT standards. Although we have heard people say that the road's narrow and it's tough to park on and have traffic bypass each other. Part of the principle of the local roads system is to have that almost like as an obstacle, that when you see someone coming, you slow down, you let them pass. You don't want to have the roadway with 2 lanes, 2 parking, be able to park one car on either side, have a 2-lane strip in the middle so that the vehicles can accelerate through. And I think we all know, we've seen this in neighborhoods where you have wide roads, traffic speeds significantly are increased in relationship to more narrow local traffic. In addition, this community is only expected to have a 1% impact on the Utah Avenue Prince intersection. So it's a very low impact development. Although I know there are significant concerns from the immediate residents, it really is very low impact. Subsequently, we were asked to look at alternative methods of accessing the site. We had a letter done by TPD on October 12th, thinking about possibly making Colorado one way out and Indiana one way up. That way, it was just a thought that, could this be a successful solution? And that actually said that with the one-way road, you tend to have higher speeds again. So it was not recommended. The second issue was that when you have one-way roads, when people get in there mid-street and they're coming out from visiting, if you don't have continued markings of one way, it can become confusing, and then people turn and they go down the one way the wrong way. So it was recommended that the one-way access coming up Indiana and back Colorado was probably not the best solution. Existing conditions were best. Finally, we did speak to the McNaughton Company. We spoke to Joel McNaughton, and we are actually friendly competitors. We know each other pretty well, and they don't want to sell that piece of ground to us. And actually, one of their concerns was they just thought this would flip-flop the issues of accessibility of traffic, bypass traffic, instead of going on Colorado, coming through their community. So we addressed it, we asked, and we were denied. Additionally, we have in the packet, we added the EMS comments, the police chief, public safety, and they have all said this access is the appropriate access. We did then meet again with Chief Kashiba in September, and we had a letter that he addressed in October stating in the last sentence, Colorado Avenue would be the best alternative for traffic management and public safety in this area. So we have taken the comments seriously. We've listened to the residents. We've brought traffic engineers in to review things. We've looked at a lot of different alternatives. And we still, firmly, confidently, empirical data support that we say this is still the best way to access the property. We spent a lot of resources and time, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Would be willing to go at this point. So that's a quick synopsis of what we provided to you in the letter and 17 pages of backup.
Well, thank you, Mark. Board members, do you have any questions for Mr. DeSanto?
Mark, how many townhouses are there?
It's 21.
21. Okay. How did they arrive at 1% for the traffic? Because 21 on an average of 2 cars per house, you're talking 42 cars going out there, and that's an additional 42 cars on that street. How did they come up with only 1%?
Their analytics at the 1% was at the main intersection being Utah and Prince Street. The impact, as I said, would be 11 a.m. trips, 15 p.m. trips. Total trips on the entire road through the day would be about 118. And I just wanted to reference, when you not counting any of the homes on Indiana, nor any that's front on Utah, I think it's 27 existing homes on Colorado. So there's a level of traffic that occurs there already, and this is not a significant impact. 21 homes.
Okay. I was just, doing it to 2 cars, and they'll be going out in the morning, coming back at night, or a couple times throughout the day.
Well, that's where they came up with total daily trips of 118. And a lot, as you see even today, people are working from home. Sometimes only, there's one adult in the community. So you're not always getting 2 trips. Mm-hmm. And And it definitely, when they talk about the AM hour, that's 7 to 8 a.m., the PM is 4 to 5. So, I mean, cars leave before 7, some leave after 8, but on the peak hour trips, it's 11 in the morning, 15 in the evening.
Thank you.
Any other board member questions? You've been rather thorough. What'd you say, 17 pages we ended up with here?
Yes.
Any public question or comment for Mr. DeSanto? Well, seeing none. Mark, I want to express our appreciation to you. We had many residents in this room on several occasions who brought up all these different suggestions and ideas, and I would like to express our appreciation to you for following up on them. The outcome may not be what residents were hoping for, but you did do due diligence and followed up on each suggestion. So thank you for that.
Well, appreciate the opportunity. And again, if any other questions come up, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mark, we'll be moving this forward for a final vote next Tuesday evening.
I will be here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we now have item 7B. We need to take action to award a contract to Krillon Corporation for the Red Top Road Bridge project. You have all your documents. I don't know if Mr. Miller would like to add any information to it. This, of course, to replace and upgrade that bridge and access to it. Are there any questions?
And Mr. Chairman, I'll just update on this, that the
Okay.
original engineering bid that went out on this project, this accepted bid amount is slightly under that.
Oh, good.
And the township itself is only responsible for 5% of the overall project cost in the cost share.
5%.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
good.
So that's 5% of 730,000.
Yes, and there have been costs to date, as this is the major construction, lots of engineering leading to this point. And then a portion of that will be shared back from sewer as well, since there is sewer work involved.
Okay.
Can you calculate that 5% of 730? Or am I
I
not
had it
seeing it
written
on
down
the?
at once.
Okay. No, I have the total.
5%
I'm
of
just
the
curious what the 5%, what,
This would be about 36,550. I think the grand total project is somewhere around 41.5, and a portion of that, probably just under a quarter of that, will be paid back from sewer funds.
okay.
Good. Any other questions? Is there a motion then to award this contract?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we award a contract to Krillon Corporation for the Red Top Road Bridge project in the amount of $730,396.79.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. We now move to new business. We need to take action to approve an agreement with the Pennsylvania State University on behalf of Penn State Extension and Dauphin County for the Centennial Acres Master Watershed Project involving some plantings. And Mr. Miller, can you just give us a very brief overview? I think everybody's familiar with the program here.
Sure. Certainly, if you cast your eyes here off to the right on the screen, the area is identified here within Centennial Park for the placement of native shrubs. The extension will be receiving a grant through the State Department to be able to install the stakes. The obligation of the township is limited to being the landowner. We will auger several holes for the placement of the stakes and fencing, and we already maintain the areas. We will just have to maintain them a little bit more cautiously to protect the shrub areas. And this project helps in relation to the creek to provide additional buffer for stormwater management. So again, a great program to be able to have a local partnership, grant money involved with the state to be able to have some reductions within to the creek in relation to our stormwater program.
So these are, do we grow vegetation there to be used throughout the county? I'm reading as I'm reading the contract, site will be utilized for future harvesting of live stakes to be planted on local stream banks to reduce bank erosion. Or are they just going to grow there and perform their duty there?
Correct. This is really focused on this specific area, but it could serve as a catalyst for other potential buffer installations as well. But then that would come down to, is there money to support, is there land, and then can we work out an agreement that could be placed in other areas?
Okay. Any other questions?
And I'm not too sure, Sam, if you know this or not, but did they come to us to initiate this, or did we initiate it?
I believe this group had come to the township to
Okay.
initiate this group.
Sounds like
The Penn State extensions throughout the state are actually pretty active with regards to stormwater management plans.
Okay.
They kind of pop up quite a bit.
So we're just the landowner, there's no financial commitment?
No, apart from us continuing to maintain the properties, we will continue to mow. Our real only commitment is we have agreed to do some augering to drop in some holes for this initial installation.
Okay.
So minor public works time.
Then I'll make a motion.
So basically, we get free shrubs, which is cool.
And I mean, in the long run, all of this is supposed to affect, stormwater runoff, which is behind the stormwater fee
Yes.
that we're required to. Well, we have to. It's one of the only options we can have to fund stormwater
Right.
runoff reduction. So this is kind of what it is. This is one of the main components.
But none of that money is going for this. This is
No,
being
there's
funded
no
by-
money at all, but in the end, all of this aims towards that goal, reducing runoff.
Yes. Any credits under the agreement would be recognized by the state itself through the program. However, we're a party to that, and certainly in that participation, this is a great project for the township to be involved with.
So we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. That now takes us to subdivision and land development, of which we have a single proposed improvement guarantee. Is there a motion to approve the improvement guarantee?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the improvement guarantee for 6517 Plow Ridge Drive.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. This takes us to announcements. Anybody have any further announcements?
Just like to say, 2 days, it's Veterans Day.
Yes,
And
sir.
I'd like to wish all those that served a happy Veterans Day.
And from the board, Norm, we thank you for serving.
Yes.
My honor.
Thank you. Hearing no further announcements, our next board meeting will be a business meeting 1 week from tonight. That would be Tuesday, November 16th at 7 p.m. here in this room. Is there now a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. A second? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.